Hello, I'm your host, Giselle Gamby, and this is the Intuitive Pull Podcast, where together we'll embrace the plans we did not make yet, unfold businesses and lives that are so much greater in wealth in all ways than any business or life plan could ever achieve. My wish is that you make intuition your most trusted advisor. So buckle up, get present, and let's go. Hello and happy holidays, dear listeners. It's the 27th of December, 2021. I was not expecting to record this episode, which is now I see how this podcast rolls. I was going to take a little break, yet I heard the words over and over again in my consciousness the last few days. And perhaps it's because this is the time of the year where the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the gift of peace. And so the words that have been hovering around in my awareness the last few days are peace is a choice. Peace is a choice. And so this is my holiday gift to you for those who have not experienced the state of peace in their body, whether that be as a result of all of their life not being in alignment with who they are, or whether that be only certain parts of their life that don't feel good and therefore peace is evasive. This episode is relevant to all of that. And so may this episode create an untangling for you such that peace is the result. And really, in a year themed, in my world, 2021, nothing but miracles, peace has been the greatest miracle that I've experienced personally. In a year of very crazy times with COVID-19 and lockdowns and vaccinations and all sorts of interesting thought processes, and my goodness, so much division. I've absolutely been in the story of it at times, and mostly I have been at peace. Also in relation to some other personal examples or personal experiences, I should say, where peace would be the last thing on the menu. I was blessed with the ability to make a choice that peace is what I wanted for all, and so it was. So that is the greatest miracle, I believe, or I appreciate for my life this year. So may this episode be a miracle for you, enable a miracle for you. So us humans have a funky relationship with being peaceful. Us humans have a belief that we can only feel peaceful when certain conditions are met. And I'm sure that you will resonate with some or all of what I'm about to say. And it's just so human of us to believe that our peace is present when these types of conditions are met. So, for example, when we have a good amount of money in the bank, we can feel peaceful. When things have gone our way, well, then we can feel peaceful. When we've achieved certain successes, when we've ticked certain boxes, when we are a certain size, weight, when we look a certain way, we can feel peaceful. We can also feel peaceful when others turn up the way that we want them to turn up. We can feel peaceful, especially when what we're really attached to comes to life. So to think that peace is conditional on all of those things and all of the other things that you might be thinking about now that your peace relies on. To think that peace is conditional on all of those things being met is the biggest booby prize of your life. It is the biggest fallacy. It is a never-ending, tail-chasing game to focus on what we believe we need to happen on the outside of ourselves in order for us to feel peaceful. It is the biggest booby prize of your life. And it's also really human. So welcoming, inviting compassion at this point as you observe what you have attached your state of peace to, which if you have attached your state of peace to certain things, you'll notice that those things, or let me say it differently, you'll notice that your peace is only temporary, because when those things are gone, well, then your peace is gone. So again, the biggest booby prize of your life. I may be reminding you what you already know, or I may be introducing something that's new to you. And so these words that have not left me the last few days, that was the catalyst for me to record this episode on my holidays, is that peace is a choice. It's a daily choice. It's a daily choice to live outside of the blame and judgment and drama triangle. So some of you might be familiar with the drama triangle and others might not. So I'm going to remind you that when we are in blame and judgment, so when we are in judgment that our peace is only available when we have met certain conditions, we are not free. And we play different roles with ourselves and each other. So we play the role when we don't have the thing that we're attached to that we believe will allow us to feel peaceful. We play the role of victim. Oh, I can't have this because COVID happened this year, or I can't have this because work completely changed things up this year, or I can't have this because my partner won't allow it, or my partner doesn't agree or understand. And so we play the role of victim. Now, there is no peace in the role of victim, is there? And then we also play the role of persecutor. So when we don't have that thing that we're attached to that we think that we need in order to feel peaceful, well, then we get angry. And we either persecute ourselves and blame ourselves or others or circumstances in life for not allowing us to have that thing that we think that when we have it, we'll feel peaceful. And of course, there's the role of rescuer, which I'm not going to talk about in this moment, but just wanted to complete the three roles of the drama triangle. So if you don't have peace, if you don't choose peace, and you don't have peace, ultimately you are hurting your body. Feelings won't imprison you. Feelings actually won't hurt you, even though some feelings temporarily hurt. The stories will. So let me just say that again. Feelings won't imprison you. They'll hurt for a moment, but they won't hurt you ultimately. Stories will. So the stories that you tell yourself about who you can't be and therefore can't feel peaceful, the stories you tell yourself about what you can't do and therefore you can't feel peaceful, the stories that you tell yourself about what you can't have and therefore you don't feel peaceful. You don't feel peaceful because you give all of that meaning. And that meaning is made up by you. And when you're in it, it feels really real. It feels like fact. It feels like fait accompli. But I want to remind you that you are the source of your perception of how you see things. And therefore, you are the creator of the meaning that you give things. And when we create meaning that is not pleasant, we do not experience peace. And when we don't experience peace over the long term, we hurt our bodies. And when we hurt our bodies over the long term, well, that manifests in different diseases and illnesses. Equally, when we make up stories about others and the meaning we give to the decisions they make, we have a tendency to either go and persecute them and make them wrong for those decisions, and we don't feel peaceful as a result, or we try and rescue them, the third role in the drama triangle, and we don't feel peaceful. And for the most part, because of course there are circumstances where it's valuable to step in, but for the most part, unless the others ask us for our assistance, it's actually none of our business. So peace is a choice. It's a daily choice to live outside of that drama, blame, and judgment triangle with ourselves and the stories and the meaning we give to the different circumstances of our life, and the stories and the meaning we give to others around our own judgments about the decisions that they make. And when we do that for the long term, we hurt ourselves. And not only do we hurt ourselves and our bodies, but as I said, if agreed with over a long term, it manifests in different illnesses and diseases, but we also hurt our relationships. And there is no peace there. The level of attachment you have to what you're attached to is proportional to the level of war you are at with yourself and others. Let me say that again. The level of attachment you have to what you're attached to is proportional to the level of war you are at with yourself and others. So this is a moment of taking stock and taking personal responsibility, getting back into that seat of cause rather than being at the effect of circumstances. Getting radically honest with yourself where there is not peace. Hey, I've done this over and over again myself this year. And it is not fun being in that drama, blame and judgment triangle. It is not fun being at war with self and others. Just recently over Christmas, I decided I was going to step out of that, particularly around others. And you know what? It was so much more enjoyable. It was so much more enjoyable. And my body was at peace because I chose it. There's some incredible examples of people who have chosen peace in extreme circumstances, right? So it's like when you think to yourself, I couldn't choose to be peaceful because X, Y, and Z's happen. It's just not possible. Well, I'm going to give you some extreme examples to show you, even in the most difficult, life-threatening circumstances, we can still choose how we respond to that circumstance. And therefore, we can still choose to experience peace. Nelson Mandela, after being in prison for 27 years, as he walked out the prison when he was released after 27 years being in prison, he said, "As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I know that if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." Viktor Frankl, who wrote A Man's Search for Meaning, an incredible book that I highly recommend. I read it years ago. And it's a book that has just stayed with me. And I've spoken about it so many times. Viktor Frankl was a Jew. He was a psychologist, and he was in Nazi war camps. He said, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances is to choose one's own way. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." And Victor, in the book Man's Search for Meaning, talks about how in the fight for survival, when they would be going to the gas chambers, people would put other people in front of them to make sure that they would be gassed before they would. And Victor said that even in those circumstances, he chose love. He chose to love himself and his neighbor. And that choice ultimately saved his life. So please read that book. You will be totally inspired. So Nelson Mandela and Viktor Frankl, in the most extreme situations, chose how they would respond so that they would not be at war with themselves and each other. Now, I'm not a famous person, but I will give you an example too that I remember very dearly. And that was at the end of my last marriage, which was an emotionally and physically abusive marriage. When that marriage was complete, and we had a relationship, we continued to have a relationship because we shared the death of our 11-year-old baby. And even though I was treated really poorly by him in our marriage, I chose not to harbor feelings of anger and hate and hurt. And I continued to have a respectful relationship with him at that time. And I remember my mum saying to me, "How can you do that? How can you do that when, such and such a thing happened?" And I said, "Well, if I don't, then I'll be out of the relationship, but I'll still be hurting. And I don't choose to live that kind of life." So peace is a choice, regardless of your circumstances. If you are not at peace, are you willing to see it differently? Are you willing to see your circumstances, the circumstances that convince you that you cannot be peaceful? Are you willing to see that differently? That's a big question that I'm going to leave you with. That's a big question to hold. And really, should you be with that question and choose to see things differently, such that your peace and happiness are not dependent on a way of life that you believed needed to occur for you to be peaceful and happy? Well, you'll be free. So that one's to ponder on. And now I would like to leave you with, this is a little bit of a how-to, how to be at peace. So I don't normally do this in these episodes, but I feel like it's important to do so. Either you know this already and this is a reminder, or you know this already and you hear it a little differently and it will land a little bit more deeply, or it's completely new and it's a gift. And so here's a little how to be at peace that I have practiced for 21 years. Number 1, choose to be at peace. Have an intention to be at peace. Have peace be your North Star. Choose that. Number 2, go into a place of acceptance for where you are at now. Be here now, where you are at now. It doesn't mean that you are in resignation or apathy. It's indeed the opposite. I remember when my business was feeling really, or I was feeling really contracted, and therefore my business was contracted. in 2013. And a wonderful coach said to me, "You're in chaos." And I said, "Oh, I'm in chaos." I felt relieved to know where I was at. And I could therefore be in that chaos. I could accept the state of chaos that I was in. Accepting the state of chaos that I was in was the first piece that allowed me to turn the ship. So accepting and being here now does not mean resignation, nor does it mean apathy, nor does it mean being powerless. There's actually a sense of trust, ironically, in the acceptance of being where we're at. Number 3, feel the feelings. We're not very good at feeling the feelings. Us humans, we try to numb them away. We pretend that they're not there. We push them. We medicate them. Feelings want to be felt. As I said, feelings won't kill you. They will in the long term because of the next point I'm going to say. If you buy into the stories that your feelings want to convince you of, and you buy into those stories over a length of time, you will hurt yourself. Yes? So how do we do that differently? We feel the feelings, as uncomfortable as they are, and the more we allow ourselves to feel them. And number 4, observe the stories that we tell ourselves and we don't agree with them, the feelings will dissipate. Why do feelings not dissipate? Because we agree with the stories that we are telling ourselves about those feelings. Number 5, no, there's a plan that you didn't make, a bigger picture that's unfolding. Again, why do feelings not go away over a period of time, sometimes even years, sometimes even a lifetime? Because we've agreed with the story that the feeling wants to tell us about ourselves. And we have not opened to the idea that a bigger picture is unfolding for our greater good. That's why people suffer. So instead, no, there's a plan you didn't make, a bigger picture that's unfolding for your greater good. Number 6, open yourself up to intuitive intelligence. The rational mind will never, ever help you transcend, evolve beyond the problem that has you feel not at peace. It will never, ever be your friend in this instance. Open up to intuitive intelligence. Problems will never be solved from the same consciousness that created them, ever. It's an endless loop of suffering. And it's an addictive cycle. Open up to intuitive intelligence. Now, you don't need to believe in God, but I would suggest opening up to the idea that there is something bigger, an intelligence that's greater, a field of intelligence that's greater than us in our singular separate bodies. Your freedom lies there. Problems will never be solved from the same consciousness that created them. Open up, open up, open up your intuitive intelligence. Open up to love, to the divine, to God, the universe, to your higher self. Open, open, open. Number 7, hold the possibility that one day you'll look back and see that love indeed works in mysterious ways. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. We've heard that statement so many times. It's true. Hold the possibility that one day you'll look back and see that love worked in very mysterious ways for your unfolding good. Perhaps not the plan that you made, but a plan that was greater than you could ever have made. The judging mind will never see that. Open, 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 open up to the intuitive intelligence. If I can say one last thing here in that point, when My baby died when he was 11 days old in 1999. And my marriage completed, that marriage that was not fun at all, that was full of chaos, full of suffering. Did I ever know at that time that my life would unfold in a way that I would have no regrets? Did I ever know at that time that I would connect to a greater purpose, that I would connect to a part of me that I hadn't fully connected with before, my intuitive intelligence? Did I know that I would find the greatest loves of my life, both in who I met and married and the family that I have, and also the work that I do? Did I ever know that? I didn't know that at the time. I went to visit, actually. I took my mum to the cemetery yesterday to visit my father, my grandparents, and also Joshua, my 11-day-old baby. And when I was at his grave yesterday, I felt a sadness around the pain he would have felt in those 11 days because he was so ill. And I was sorry for that pain, and I said that. And I also thanked him for the role that he played in my life, because he was my awakener. He was part of the plan, or the key part of the plan that cracked me wide open, that has me living from my heart, that has me living a life of purpose and meaning and joy and peace. He was the one drop, that first drop that created the first ripple, that has created infinite ripples that would never have happened had I not experienced his death. If I can find peace in a circumstance that any mother would never dream to find peace, then peace can be found anywhere. If Viktor Frankl and Nelson Mandela can find peace in the most extreme circumstances, then anyone can find peace. So my gift to you is the miracle of peace, a shift in perception from fear to love. Happy holidays. I look forward to seeing you in 2022. Thank you so much for listening. I trust that you were intuitively pulled. If you liked this episode, please follow this podcast and share the love with your family, friends, and colleagues. Let them know that I'm here. And if you'd like to have more communication with me, join the Intuitive Pull Facebook group, where you'll find details in the show notes, and you can let me know about what pulls you've been receiving by listening to these episodes. Until next time, so much love.